Wow. Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield and I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and we are here taking a look at an ATEEZ present. This is Woo Young with Sagittarius. Now, I guess the question is he actually a Sagittarius? If that's the case, then that makes it so much more fun, and if not, that's okay too. And there is a chance this could be dance affiliated. I just kind of skimmed just to see if it was a music video or not, and I saw dancers, so maybe we get a nice little gift here. I mean, that's why it's called an ATEEZ present, right? So I think I'm ready. I hope you are. Let's get into it. I'm excited to talk about this. Ugh. Wow. Ah. I'll be your sign. Wow. Is that a tattoo reveal? Is that real? Okay, pause. Here we go. Yep. BB trippin'. Makes sense. I like that Dunn, who's in charge of the choreo, was also in the routine. I just think that's fun. Lyrics? Okay, Hongjoon. We got Door and Pepperoni. We got the whole gang. It's like a whole, what is it? What is it? It's a pizza party is what that looks like up there. Anyway, and Woo Young was a part of that too. Most likely a dance practice behind the scenes is what's probably going to be existing here. Yep, so it is Sagittarius, the astronomy sign. That's why I use the sign reference talking about cosmic. That is so fun. So fun. We gotta let it play out out of respect for the fact that they gave us a very simple but effective Scorpius. Special thanks to ATEEZ. I love it. Love it. That's so cool. I'm gonna need the ATEEZ to help a sister out. Is that a real tattoo? Is that newly acquired? I don't know. But I for one am one to advocate for dances to show off tattoos, for sure. As someone who is heavily inked myself, so I'm always an advocate, and I'm an enabler anyway, but this was really nice. I like the track, and actually, this is just a present. Like, it's not even a comeback or a music video for a promotion. And I love the quality of these, like, special versions, if that makes sense. This was super fun. Now, it kind of feels like Artist of the Month, but in the ATEEZ universe, is what this feels like to me. The structure, the usage of dancers, the storytelling, the intention, all of that. It showcases Wooyoung in a great way, but it also feels very lifted and catered to ATEEZ. So that's what I really like about it. Yeah, this is great. I also, this very beginning segment that we're going to see here, I'm going to kind of skip this here because he's just walking, right? Goes to the mirror. Now, mirror choreo. I like the fact that there is not a fingerprint in sight on the mirror, so it definitely gives a first time doing it energy, not in it looks a bit clunky, we need to get it done a couple times. It doesn't feel like we've taken multiple takes of this, I think is kind of my point. It feels very nice tying into the storyline. Now, isn't there a whole trend that boom, doom, 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 where their backs are on the wall and they do the knees, doom, doom, that whole thing right now that I'm watching this? I feel like if anybody needs to do it, he basically did it in a ballad format here, so I feel like that's what ATEEZ want. If you're Wooyoung bias, you may rejoice of the fact you have an entire visual to appreciate about your bias, right? I like, honestly, how pedestrian and normal that was to just go on the back. It wasn't seductive there. It was mostly like I'm conversing. It's a conversation-based track, and so a lot of the choreography feels that way. It also has that, it's like a smidgen Gen 2, Gen 3, if I'm being honest, kind of ballad vibes. Like, it's not full-on Taeyong, but I could see it can be on the family tree as a distant cousin. I think that's something we can entertain, right? The truth I've been keeping in silence in the dark. And I love just love me a nice little wave. I'm going to call that more a breath than a wave because we didn't do a true follow-through on the fingers, and that's fine. And I like how he pulls out of it on the sound. Really nice. He goes and he grabs onto the mirror and then he threads himself through. That's really, really nice. That to me is what reminded me of the setup of that trend that a lot of people are doing. The night of my sky, I've been hiding without an end. Of course, we're talking about astrology with the different stars, things like that. So I like a lot of the imagery there, and I like the fact that, at least culturally for me, that's a whole thing. Just like the zodiacs, animals are in a lot of cultures, that's what that is in my culture. I mean, both can kind of go hand in hand. So there's a lot of people who really vibe on their horoscopes. For me, I'm not quite that person, but I'll rep the Scorpios in the world. Don't fear not. But anyway, I like the thread on that, and it's pretty symmetrical on the hand. So I like the fact that he was able to gauge it well and match on the sides. That's cool. And I like from there, he goes and resets there, and he presses away. Here we go, and then we have our dancers, and then we have it cut. Now, it did feel very BB Trippin'. Why? I recognize a couple of them. I would say, Micah, right there. It gives me BB Trippin' vibes I've seen in rehearsals. Yeah, cool. So we end up going out in, and this arm stays up, subtle fixed point to travel through and out, which is nice. And then they prep it, they bounce it on the base, and they use that to help turn out of it. Then we have, it's this ballad little bounce on it with a little groove happening there. That's the stuff that ties into that Gen 2 angsty feel, but this angst has a sense of hope in it. It doesn't feel like I'm drowning myself in rain with my shirt off. It's not quite that realm, like Taeyong, but it definitely is like I'm yearning for you, but it feels like there's a sense of hope behind it, right? The world is with no such thing as light, right? And I like that we have a darker room with a white light accents. It actually helps Wooyoung not stick out so aggressively. It actually, he is the light, right? It's cool. And then the dancers match the background environmentally. So they match the room very well, which is cool. And so I like the little knock on that, and then they travel it over. I like the cleanliness of the line on that. Galaxy that's lost its brightness. And they travel it over. So they kind of do a lot of peek-throughs, which I find to be fun. and then they reset, and I really like having the dancers in the back go in opposition so it feels like we're taking up more space. It's creating a fun transition out of it. And then we end up doing, it looks like we probably implemented a bedrock or something like that. It's rolling from the ball heel based on how they were stationary. And that kind of, when you're exposed to how torsos respond to certain footwork choices, you can kind of make some educated guesses. So that would be my educated guess if we do a double check. Oh, well, you know, if you look at the back dancers, we have a chance. There's a most likely we're doing something like that. But that's not important. It is when you're looking at uniformity, you know, to get everybody on the same page, but it's still nice to talk about. Now your light is making changes. We place it out. I think a lot of the clean lines are what's also tying into that ballad, angsty Gen 2 K-pop sense of solo artists. But once again, the sound itself doesn't really tailor to that as much, but the movement and circumstance does, right? They place it out. I like the little boom, place it, and then we knock it. Cool. Ways I never imagined. I like the little ta sound. Now I'm shedding light on you. It goes here, shedding light. Cool. Nothing crazy there. And then we go right here, little spotlights. I like the spotlights going front. That's really cool. I like the leathery fits, and then we travel it over. Every night I'll be your sign. Sagittarius, love it. So he never outright says it. He uses imagery of it through the stars on the pictures, as well as, you know, other imagery that tailors. If you had like a word web, right, where you have the word and you branch off, what does it remind you of? That's what he is doing in lyrics, which is cool. Arms, look at the range, pretty good. The swing, they turn out of it, and then they end up taking that sound. They initiate or trigger with the hands to melt down the knees, which is really fun. You're the reason why I ran through this long night. And then we have a nice little chest rotation, letting the knee and kind of shifting the weight subtly between the legs to help create more of an accent on that left leg, which is nice. Then we go and reset up, and then we go hit we kind of let the arms scoop in the space in front to allow the body to direction, and then we do a kick coming out of it, and then we bleed the energy. So I like the travel up on it with the torso is really fun. You complete the view. He's enjoying it. Yep. Yeah, so we hit it over, out, and then we crash it to the other side. Now, is this movement, like the sequences, are they unique? I would say some sequences of this choreography are, but I will say there isn't anything about it so far that really stands out where it's that's a focal point choice that you're going to remember forever. Like that's not, it doesn't feel like a challenge choreo where we're looking for a unique element for people to replicate. I would say the mirrorography was really nice. It's reminiscent to what's going on in modern times right now, on the walls, right, of trends. But all of this really does feel like we're having a Gen 2 inspiration. I really do kind of am settling there. It doesn't really feel like super creative on the structure of the choreo. Is that the intention? I mean, I feel like the formation choices have more creativity than the actual content. But maybe as we look at it more, we'll uncover more. The track itself's really fun though. I like it. And then we go take it. I like the traveling. That's a fun element where we go from the mouth and we use the mouth guard to trace it down. That's a unique element, right? But then they go the hip, boom, boom. Once again, a lot of very cleanly placed arms for a dynamic, not a texture. And the difference that I use is dynamics can be very universal when you talk about space and time. So fast and slow, space takes out big and small, and then you have tense and relax. So those are very universal concepts that regardless of culture, most are able to relate to. But texture can be very cultural, meaning there's certain fruits or certain mannerisms that people do for wordplay or lyrics or certain tones, and there's unique instruments that exist in certain cultures primarily over others, and that can be where your texture kind of lies in movement is how I equate it to. But of course, lifelong learner, always learning to refine that phrasing, but that's kind of how I can separate. Texture provides more uniqueness of a structure of a choreo, but dynamics does provide a lot of familiarity that can help your audience appreciate what you're doing if they're not really, super used to overly artistic expression, because there's some people who don't. And so that's why I'm saying there's always beauty in all facets of dance, unless we're dealing with negligence, or we're dealing with ignorance, or we're dealing with disrespect of the style that you're choosing to represent. Here, it does give, like I said, we've already kind of touched on it, there's no disrespect here whatsoever. I think it's admiration. If we did choose to pull from it, it just feels that way. For BB Trippin' too, they really do pull out some really cool creative elements, which I find this feels kind of low-key intentional, but it could be the member of BB Trippin' that was on this choreographically. That's why for me, I'm excited for a behind the scenes, and that would most likely be available on Patreon. I may not attach it onto this video, it'll be separate. So if you want to hear my behind the scenes thoughts, we can go there. But anyway, I like that there. They hit it there. They do a little bounce, little rebound on the ground to come back up, which is really nice. And they travel, double it up to the other side, which is also nice. And then we trace and the crash. I like the fact we're hearing that crash and making it nice. And then we bring it out in. I really like the subtlety of that. It reminds you of a rooftop, but with more tension. It's fun. And when I'm headed towards you, they actually rotated the head around. That was a fun wordplay moment if they chose to go that way, even though I think Mori is like a head. Yeah, da-da-da on the crash. Yeah, there's not, sorry, I was trying to like force what word works phonetically or in words of English into Korean, and that's not what we're supposed to do. Anyway, I like the bounce ISO of the travel on that, and the upper body is really cool. They present out and then get all around and they pick it up, boom, nice. They travel it over and then they kind of reset something to kind of book in our course, because this little meltdown is similar to what we saw in the very beginning of this course, right? You're my only cosmic clue. And you know what? Never bothers me to do a step with the chest. Come on now. And I like that he has this nice lingering look to the front. That's fun. I'll be here for you. It still feels very conversational. He's maintaining eye contact. You love a boy who can communicate, right? I like to go high, mid, low. What did our dancers do there? Oh yeah, here for you. They let the head match his angles. It's so fun. It's a basic principle of letting people's movement match a feature's angles, but it never goes out of style. Don't fix what ain't broke, which is another thing that I like about this, is that there are a lot of familiar elements about it within the K-pop scene. So it's just really nice to appreciate and touch on, and if anything, hopefully I'm able to provide potentially a different perspective that makes you, maybe if this felt reminiscent of a certain artist for you, maybe I'm able to kind of help affirm that or provide, a different way of looking at it from your perspective. But that's what also makes discussions really fun. I love at least reading comments and kind of hearing what your thoughts are, because it helps better frame what I looked at too. It's nice. Yep, and we go back in that. We hit that with a nice little 3-step turn to transition. Come on now. And we drop onto the knees and we do a pan down to get to our next location. It's really nice. We go and there's no reason, and then we rotate. I really like that we had it as in every other. So you have Woo Young with 2 of the outliers in the back, and then you have those right next to him go in opposition, so it provides more complexity to the choice. I like that kind of stuff. Really nice. And I like how we move our torso from one side to another on that. Really nice. The turn is nice. And then I find it interesting how we got into that. We turn, they're prepped. Yeah. We just switch to an aerial shot. It's, that doesn't bother me in the slightest. I just found it interesting. Like, I wasn't expecting this choice from where the dancers were in the previous shot. I don't know. It was just interesting, right? Doesn't bother me. I just found it, it caught me off guard. Maybe that's what they were going for. Totally fine. I love that we go down. It looks like our dancer literally was grabbing his neck. Was that what we wanted? Maybe. I don't know. Why I'm following you. I embroider my starlight. Nice, talking about stars. I like the bounce on that embroider. He touches his lips, so I'm wondering if it's like, my remnants of light. Like, maybe it's mwah, my love for you. Mwah, I don't know. But on your night. Yep, so it goes travel. So he's saying that he is the light. Like, he wants to be a light for a galaxy of someone. Like they fit in well. They're complementary to each other, because you can't have one without the other, right? So I do like, normally he's like, you are my star. No, I'm your star is kind of what it feels like. That's cool. I like the reversal there. No matter how far. I like the part with no matter how far when we're talking about distance, when you do a transition. So moving from one place to another, that does help on at least the intention of what your words are. Like if you want somebody to visualize no matter how far, moving helps me see a visual representation of it, right? It's cool. So I like the fact that you have other dancers moving in opposition, so it feels like they're traveling further. And I really like how many there are in the back, so it's very full and filled. And they're doing the same choreo. Reminds us of the little two trios, but that felt very, you know, group. This one is a here's your environment background, and then you have two dancers that tie him into the back too. I'll keep you safe in the end. And the travel on the bass is nice. And they go with the chest on that. I just want to light your life. I like the head on that too, the ISO. And then we punch it too. Now, I don't know who the choreographer specifically is. Could it be, you know, Mr. Redhead? Possibly. Or it could be Mr. Longhair that we've seen before. But, I mean, I just like the fact that you have, I just like it whenever people who choreograph are also in the project, so they get their flowers too. But also, I've been on the opposite end where sometimes I prefer to just choreograph and not be in it, so I can properly clean it and properly be the role that I need to be, and not feel like I have to match whatever I chose to clean. I also have to be held accountable to it, which is, you know, when you have to match a nuance of movement, it's easier for me to do it because it's my own perspective. But if I'm asking 15 people to do it and they're not 100% understanding my texture, I have to sometimes make concessions in order to make them work and look together, but like find a happy middle. But that means I also have to work backwards. So that's kind of what I think about when I have to be in projects, not like this, but in concept shoots or when I film choreo that I know I'm going to be in for a recital or dance or something like that. So it's just, I find that fun though. I like how we do a little trace with a throw. And when this time comes to an end, boom, and like the points go high-low and the nights, and they take the arms up and over, and then we bring it down. I like this extra interruption that he's doing. Ticking or strobing, let's find out. But the dancers are doing more of a pulse or repeat on the hinge is fun. I like that boom, doom, doom. Like, it really feels like he's isolating that percussion on the drum, which I really like. So that's cool. I really like that he has a subtle contrast of coming up, right? Very interrupted, and everyone else is pulsing. It's fun. Really nice. Thumbs up. Here we go. And then every night will be your sign. Travel it up. Different color palette. And then I like the travel over is also nice. We travel it through and around. And this song is 4 minutes long. This is a song to feed ATEEZ. So I love that. You're the reason why, yeah. And through. Yep, same thing, but notice different camera angles. Different colors are nice. I like that little pull down. Good angle with the V with the two outliers on the side. And I like the tension on the shoulders is fun. And then it ends up being an add-on with your trio and then everybody else. Then go up, traveling. Instead of here, it was here. Was that subtle, intentional? I don't know. But I like that trace. Out of everything, the mirror choreo in the beginning. And I really like that trace choice. And also, I'll even say I like the bookends of the chorus where we're melting into a W is what it's called when you're doing a boogalooing fundamental, where it's not a butterfly where you go in and out in a legato or a smoothness in your lower body, but you just melt, like travel the energy down from your torso to your knees. So that's fun. The traces hit da da da, and it does look like Woo-Young's line. So there's two other people that are in his line, right? They are going the same way as him, and it looks like everybody else is going that way. Now the real question is, have they made the Sagittarius actual like star formation? I don't know. Like, let's actually do a little count here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. How many points? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So if you have 15 people, including himself, that could be a potential option for an aerial shot. That'd be really dope. But also, could that be a little bit too in your face? Maybe. I really do like the subtlety of he's not saying Sagittarius whatsoever. It's all bouncing around it. And if you use context clues, it helps you appreciate the cinematic essence of it too. So anyway, little side note though. But I like he's in the center of that. The travel through, fun little transition, getting everybody from that formation, from having his line kind of stay where they are, having the guys go behind him in the windows is nice. When I'm only headed towards you, I like the, of course, the point. Same thing as before, but it's, you know, switching between the two locations, which is fun. And now we're in a rotation. So it's, sorry, it's not a rotation. The Formation is more circular with, of course, a space in the front, and then you have Wu Yang in center. Really cool. I float through the sky every day. The turn is fun. I like that we have a vantage point of low, so we're actually looking up in the camera shot, so when he turns like that, it feels like, you know, I float through the sky every day. We're picturing already the person singing, which is Wu Yang, elevated or in the sky, so having an elevated shot of him actually ties well to the words there. That's cool. And then there's a little extra breath on that, which is fun. You're my only cosmic clue. I like the hit, boom boom, with a little accent on that is fun. There's your, like the chest on that looks nice. And then they all walk. I love me a good tempo walk every day of the year. Oh, so fun. So the walks are nice. They're all walking the same steps, same way, but because they're in opposition, it's because they're facing each other. So that's a fun little way if you want to very quickly determine whether the dancer is facing front and back. If did they learn the choreography the same way, or are they mirrored? Look, if they're all different directions but they're all moving the same, some dancers learned it the opposite way. But if one of them's flipped and they're doing this, then of course they learned it different. They learned the same choreo. So it's a fun little shorthand way of thinking if you're not quite sure. So I love the walks. Guys, it's so simple. Camera shots speak volumes, but also just the power of a walk with stage presence can go a long way. Especially if you have a song drop out, it's going to sound a little bit more intimate. There's not a lot of bases. You don't want to do too much either. You don't want your movement to overshadow, especially when you have a lot of people dancing. Sometimes more subtle movement can go a long way. So the steps are nice. Notice that we're letting our chest sit and settle before moving it to the other side. No matter how many nights pass, and I like that you have the dancers kind of get close, but the spacing's pretty equal on both sides. We do a little turn out of it. I don't know if it was just him or the other dancers. Let's look. The dancers shifted their chest, so they're just doing two steps. Step together. Nice. He turned out of it to keep him an outlier. Even if it was a fixed cam, you still see him as an outlier. No matter how many nights pass, they're doing what we saw in that little weight shift of the legs. They're doing that move there like you saw in the first two courses. I like that there. Boom. I'll stay here without a change, but he changed. Like this stayed the same, but this changed. That's cool. Then they go ding, ding, ding. So I like that choice. It was really nice. Dee. We're fun here for that. It was really nice. With the ISO travel down. Then it pushes it out, and it goes up, boom, and I like how we send it down. Then there's your star, up, ding, nice hands. Intention for me, I try to avoid the duckbill, which is what you're seeing here, because that can look a little messy, but if everyone's doing it, it kind of feels like a stylized choice. I think whenever we watch Spella or King Tutut, those are really, very proficient tutters, and I know with Spella, she adds a lot of whacking elements, which is really fun. But for me, I try, at least when I teach tutting, try to fight with not with my dancers, but I try to tell them to fight for a straight line, because a lot of times they kind of compensate due to lack of flexibility in the wrist. So that's why it's always better to be here and make this stylized than as a form of compromise in order to get the angle, if that makes sense. So I don't know their individualized tutting training, but preferentially I am digging the straighter hands, but because most of them have it bent, it just looks more stylized. It says you're my life forever. So I like the switch on that, and they have it nice on the clap, and then they twist from the palm in order to create this every other effect, which is really nice. So I love that, and I like how he brings his arms up, and then they drop out, and I like how it just fades out. The song fades out, and then it comes back. So they do a fade to black, and then they bring it back out. Every night I'll be your sign. I like that he comes up, and then we push that hand forward. And this is a different course. Oh, not different course choreo. So I like how he punches it. Everybody goes from a column, so a straight line directly behind him, which ties well from the previous shot. And they expand it out, looks like to a V, inverted V with him at the center. For me, what I look for in these kind of performance versions is what is the possibility of him performing this at a fan concert. If you look at the structure of the choreography based on how the transitions or how formations are being made, it does look like you could do this in a one take, no problem. In comparison to, I think there was one, artists of the month, there's certain takes that you do that are just not practical, like costume changes, right? Which of course they switch between environments. But when you look at, okay, they started from a column or they finished in a column after all of this, right? And then they're expanding off of that. This to me is, you can do this all in one go. No problem, honestly, which is cool. And so ATEEZ, you can have some hope of maybe at a fan concert, all of these ATEEZ presents, they'll present them. I don't know what ATEEZ normally does for their concerts or fan concerts, but I think this would be a really fun one to see live because of how it's structured. It can be done very easily that way. I like the reverb, and it looks like we kept it isolated to the chest and shoulders. And because of his textile, so more of that leather, you're able to really see it because of the shining of the light. So I like he ends up adding this in that you saw a little bit earlier, not in a chorus, but in, I think, one of the verses, which is fun. You're the only reason I breathe, and then we add this up, boom, boom, boom. Some openness to show the chest off, like I'm ready to breathe. So I like the travel up. Everybody keeps it midline. He travels it all the way up, and I like that everybody matches a speed change. Even though his are higher, they all matched it at the same time, so I like the timing of that. They rotate it, nice percussion, so they all join in. Everyone's different directions, so it looks like they mirror the choreo. So they go out in, and now we're back to this circle formation with an opening in the front, so you can clearly see from the front where Wooyoung is. I feel this move with you, and they travel it around at the arm. He brings it over and across. They travel the arms up. They all melt to the ground on their knees. That was nice. Then he brings his arms up, really cool. And they hit it down. I aim my arrow, which is nice. They all turn on the sound. That was a fun ripple to get everybody rotated up from low to high. And then they go tension, intention, click, 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 da-na. I think this is my favorite segment of the song. Da-na-na-na-na. It's just nice. It's very residual. It's a good track from him. And they rotate it through. I like the rotation with the punch up in the corner, and they go down, up, and then they rotate, vroom, and hit. Really fun punch down. And then we do a rotation, hit, and then we travel it up, hit, throw, and notice we're not interrupting or ticking. We're creating a moment, and then we're sending through it in a different timing. So it's familiar yet repackaged. Really nice. We turn to the back. He presses them away, and then we do a little rotation out, and then he goes here. I'll be here. So he taps himself, like talking about myself, and then bring it through, and he does a little tap to the forearm. I'm telling you, that must be real because of how faded it looks. Because you can feel the difference between a real tattoo and one they just put on for concept. We're gonna skim here. They have a whole shot of it, right? And that's, he's just existing there. Right here. Do you see this? That feels like we have some skin healed right there. So like I have some tattoos right here that I can show. So yeah, it's clocking as if that's not a real tattoo, they better keep that person who applied that, give them a raise, a cookie, and a coffee. That is fantastic. So I'm going to assume that's real. There's a chance we may have even had the conversation that this is real, but I like that a lot. And I know that Wooyoung, out of most members, is one that does like tattoos. So anyway, that's what I'm going to assume here. ATEEZ, of course, you can verify that on the Patreon side because that is first. If you're like, Jess, how do you know so much about the group and you don't have a ton of ATEEZ on your channel? Well, let me tell you, it's because I've already marathoned their entire discography. I've watched a couple of their concerts at this point. I've covered some of their covered it as a K-pop cover, so I have an empathetic lens on what it feels like to do ATEEZ choreo. And I really have enjoyed their journey, and I've kind of dived a little bit into the lore so I can appreciate or hopefully pick up on some Easter eggs when they do group promotions. And so that's kind of, if you're like, where can I look at this? Patreon's perfect for that. And normally whenever they have a direct comeback, like a music video, normally one of their dance practices goes up from the Patreon side, but it is significantly slower than just going to Patreon and binging to your heart's content. It's pretty fun over there, but I also understand it costs money. You don't have to do it. We're all get to have fun at the end of the day. So yeah, I really enjoy this. I'm glad this is here, and I'm glad of the timing of it, that we get to look at it and appreciate it together. Y'all know me, I know you. I am Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.